When we speak of the academy and we try to describe our school to other people, there are certain alumni that we always point to with pride, saying they went to Ida Crown. The late Reb Nosson Tzvi Finkel of the Mir, Zatzal. The late Reb Aaron Lichtenstein, Zatzal. And so many other pivotal figures within world Jewry who spent their years at our school. One of those people, without a doubt, who we continue to enjoy his presence, his wisdom, and his reflections, is a member of the class of 1950, Rabbi Berel Wein. I know Rabbi Wein really doesn't need any introduction. However, he does need our thanks. To this day, there are times I will call Rabbi Wein for his advice, for his insight, for his memory of what once was and what can be. And so when I called Rabbi Wein when we first began to think of this event and asked him if he would join us, I was so thrilled when without a hesitation he said he would, and he's here with us tonight. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Rabbi Berel Wein.
I can't tell you how happy I am to be here tonight, because everyone here speaks English with the correct accent. Someone came over and pasted this on me. So usually I don't wear name tags because in my arrogance I think that people know me. But a number of years ago, it's really maybe a number of decades ago, I was traveling in the United States and I was in an airport in Dallas, Fort Worth. And I was between planes, and I sat in the waiting room, waiting for the plane, about an hour in between. And a man came over to me and he said, "Oh, Rabbi, I'm so happy to see you. I want to tell you how indebted I am to you. I've read all your books. I've listened to all of your tapes. I'm a regular, avid listener to your lectures and shiurim. I can't tell you what a treasure you are for the Jewish people." So even though I agreed with him, I didn't say anything. I said, "Well, thank you," and everything. And then he said to me, "And by the way, how is Mrs. Frand?" So I said, "I hope she's well, but she's not with me on this trip." So I'll take the name tag. The Torah tells us that the Jewish people, when they were in the desert of Sinai, sang a number of songs to the Ribono Shel Olam. So we're all accustomed to the great Oz Yashir Moshe of Bnei Yisrael, the song at the Red Sea. We say it every day of the year. But later in the Torah, there's a second song. Oz Yashir Bnei Yisrael es Hashira Azos. The Jewish people sang a song. It was a song about a well, about water. Ali Be'er Enula. Let the waters of the well rise, and we'll respond to it. Chazal tell us, Ein Mayim El Torah, the symbol of water and the symbol of Torah are coincidental. And then it says, Be'er chafaru sorim, karuhu nediveom. This well was dug by great people, by people that were nediveom, who sacrificed themselves for the Jewish people. I remember it was 1946. The Chicago Bears were good then. I was going to go into 8th grade, and I was in public school. And the public school, Victor F. Lawson Public School on Holman Avenue, which later became Kimball, was one of the finest schools in Chicago. The public school system then was outstanding. We had all Irish spinster school teachers who did nothing but knock it into you. You learn how to read. Nobody was dyslexic in our class. Everybody knew how to read because Miss McCarthy wouldn't let you go. And they taught us how to write, and they taught us math and science and history, and they insisted that we go to the library every week. It was the American dream. 3 o'clock in the afternoon when it was over, my father of blessed memory, we lived only a block away on Douglas Boulevard around the corner, would come and pick me up, and we'd walk home. I'd have a glass of milk and the cookies, and then we'd learn for 3 hours. I didn't think that was special. I thought everybody did it. And I learned with my father. I never went to a Jewish school. Now I'm going into 8th grade, and one day there's a knock on the door, and Rabbi Sachs and Rabbi Mishkin come in. And my father had arranged that they should come. And they came, and they spoke to my mother and to me. I was an only child, so I was like an adult from birth. And they said they're opening this new school. It's been open 2 years, 3 years, and that I must attend this school. So I didn't want to go to a different school. I was doing very well in public school, and I was learning with my father. And they said, we're not going to leave until you promise that you're going to go next year. And they said, you won't have to do 8th grade. We'll put you in 9th grade right away. So I succumbed. I told my mother, yes, tell them we'll go. I'll go. Well, so they used, I don't know how to put it nicely, but they used me as a hook because they went to other people on the block and they said, you know, Berel Wein is going to go and you're a good friend, so you go with him and, you know, you'll have friends. At that time, half of the class of the Chicago Jewish Academy that I attended came from homes that were not observant. Their children grew into Rosh Yeshiva and Kollel people. But the parents and the grandparents had already, the Sabbath had slipped away. Assimilation knocked at the door. And that was a generation that was coming out of the American Depression. Nobody had money. I know that sounds strange today. Today, the disease is having money. And believe me, it's a disease. because it destroys people. It makes them into what they are not. The Gemara says, Yo'eh ani yuso liYisrael. The Jewish people do well with less. We never do well with excess. So there was no money, so you couldn't charge tuition because nobody had money to pay for tuition, and the public school was free. So how was the school supposed to support itself? So Rabbi Ephraim Epstein, Zichrono Livracha, had a famous saying that he used to say, we have to go out and collect money. So they used to say, Rebbe, where should we go? He said, Chicago. So there were, I remember a Jew by the name of Max Cohen, who owned the Mo David Wine Company. It was an Alter Litvak. He used to speak at every yeshiva banquet, so he used to say, we have to raise more money from intuition. Think about it. And the Lavins, Max Cohn, Alex Eisenberg, there were maybe 10, 12 Jews. And they paid for us. I knew Max Cohn later in Miami Beach when he retired, and I was the Rav in Miami Beach. And I would visit him. And he said to me, you know, he said, I paid for you all the years. I had a list of 20 students that I paid for. I paid for you all the years. So I told him, Mr. Cohen, you've made wiser investments. But it was true. And we never paid a nickel to the academy. Nobody did. It's enough that you went. And when we went, we felt we were special. I remember the academy was derided, if not even despised and hated, by the established Chicago Jewish community. The Federation was, they couldn't get over, they accused the academy of being un-American, was treasonous. And the Orthodox Jewish community was not far behind. I remember leading members of my father's synagogue that came to the house and they said to my mother, how can you do that? They'll make him a cripple. That was the word they used. She said to them, don't worry. And when we went to the academy, we thought that we were climbing Mount Everest. We were pioneers. We were going to do something that had never been done before in Chicago. When I went to the academy, so in the morning, there were two streams. One stayed in the yeshiva and was part of the yeshiva. So we had Rav Herzl Kaplan, Rav Mendel Kaplan, Rav Rogoff, later Rabbi Kreisworth. We were part of the regular yeshiva stream. We were there till 2 o'clock. David Mincha. We had a famous lunch every day. Yellow egg salad and red jello. So we used to complain to the cook, there's no variety. So one day she gave us red egg salad and yellow jello. So we had variety. But it was heaven, with a loaf of bread and ketchup, yechaper al hakol. And then 2 o'clock, we got a bus that took us to Wilcox Street. And then we had secular studies till 5:30. And we had marvelous teachers, most of whom were not Jewish. I remember one teacher, Miss Martin, and we had, believe it or not, she had to take 2 years of Latin. And she taught us Latin. We read Julius Caesar's memoirs about all Gaul is divided into 3 sections. We read it in the original Latin. And she taught English. And she taught Shakespeare. And we didn't realize we were getting a good education, which is the joy of it. And it was the joy of knowing that somehow this was a special place, and if you went there, you were a special person. And it was very small. The whole yeshiva, the HTC, was maybe 250 students from age 11 to 25. And it wasn't just Chicago, it was the whole Midwest. It was St. Louis and Kansas City and Shreveport, Louisiana, and La Crosse, Wisconsin, and Milwaukee. It was Echad Meir Ushnayim Mishpacha. People that were saved. And who went on later to save others. So part of the problem of prosperity, not just in money, but in success as well, is that you don't feel that you're a pioneer. You don't feel that somehow you're making a difference. And that changed because the state of Israel gave us a new chance to be pioneers. A new chance to be important. Because that's what all of us wants to be. That's what Esav shouted to his father, "Abrocha achas yesh lecha avi, borcheni gam ani avi." Give me also a brocha. What does Esav need a brocha for? He's got everything. He's FTX. What does he need a brocha for? You don't read the papers. But Esav wants to be important. He wants to be remembered. And he can't somehow see himself because there are a lot of warriors and there are a lot of wealthy people and there's a lot of things that go on, but he knows he's not pioneering anything. And Yaakov Ish Tom Yoshev Oholim has a purpose. He's the only one. And therefore the Rabbanu Shalom says to him, Lo Yaakov Yikore Ishmecha Ki Im Yisrael. That's your purpose. Ki Sarisoi Melahim V'Odom. You wrestle with God and with man. And that's who we are. We're here to wrestle with God and with man. We're very small in the world, in numbers. But the world revolves about us. What we do makes a difference. Everyone should realize that. And I think that's the greatest gift that the Academy gave us. We had a slogan about the Academy, the Posuk, Bamo Akadem Yo. how can we advance the name of God in the world? ICJA. And therefore it worked. I used to say that people said to me, you went to the academy, you went to a co-ed school? I said, we didn't even notice we had girls in the school. Today we could have had a better answer. We could say they were men. But I want to tell you, and I say it from the depth of my heart, it was a holy place, and it remains so. Because Bamo Akademio, that's our purpose. Each one in their own individual way, whatever we do in life, our purpose is to advance the cause of God and of Torah and of Israel. It's a long time since I've been at the academy. Many things have changed and many things remain the same. But I feel that the purpose has not only been fulfilled, but it's been expanded to create people of worth and of value, of vision, of importance, of strength, of tradition, of knowledge, and of love. Love for their fellow Jew and human beings generally, and love for the Jewish people and for the land of Israel. So I thank you for the opportunity of expressing my thanks to the Academy in front of all of you. And in Yirtzeh Hashem, the school and all of us should continue to go mechayel el choyel, from strength to strength, and we'll be zoche together to see Nechomas Zion Nevinyan Yerushalayim. Amen.